religious child. Since I was 3 years old, I was drawing, and my parents nurtured it a little bit too strongly, I think. I got to have a solo show every year since I was 10. And when I turned 21, I kind of rebelled, I think. I decided I couldn't endure it anymore because my parents put so much responsibility on me in that sense. So I broke up with a boyfriend, my first boyfriend I had in Peru. I broke up with him, and I went to Mexico with my cousin whose family lived there. And that's how I began moving away from Peru. I lived in Mexico for 2 years, and then I came to the United States. I didn't want to paint anymore. You know, painting, that was what I was doing all the time. It was such a burden, and it was so related to my family and me that I decided I never wanted to paint again. I went to Hunter College. It was 1992. And they were celebrating the Columbus enterprise in colonizing the Americas, well, the beginning of the colonization. And I came up with this idea of doing a series of We the Colonized Ones, and I was very lucky with it. I got a gallery in New York. I began being exhibitions, being still in college. So ceramic began to be my artistic endeavor. In this particular piece, she is a Santa Chingada, the perfect little woman. It's always this thing of, oh, she's so good, she's so nice, she suffers so much. It always goes together. It's like, if you suffer as a woman, you are good. It bothers me that I would have to suffer in order to be good. She's just offering herself to her man, and she's telling him, do whatever you want as long as you venerate me. That veneration would be enough to pay all the wrongdoings that you do to me. She's a good woman. One day I was going over this book of the Rockefeller Foundation's collection in the Metropolitan Museum, and I saw this piece that I really felt in that moment. It was like love at first sight, you know, like I should have made this. And in a way, I felt like that because the face looked in some way as I was when I was younger, and I was maybe a teenager or even younger. And I like the idea of a piece that was made 2,000 years ago that actually was made by somebody who looked like me. And I decided to remake it. And in the remaking, ideas would be coming up, and each of them would become different, all with the same position. Daisy Chapuito series. Pícara, which means naughty, and she's masturbating. This piece is censorship. This is grief. I made 74 of those pieces for almost 5 years. In the Plunder Me Baby series, it is definitely my portrait. I made my face the most accurately possible. Plunder Me Baby, it's talking about colonization again, which is something that I guess is very important to me to talk about. And every figure has a pejorative title, a racist name, which you hear a lot in Latin America. I took names from Peru and Mexico because those are the pre-columbian pieces I'm being inspired by. And if I didn't put my face, then it would have been like I'm insulting. But if it's myself, then I'm taking the place. I'm standing up for the people who are receiving these pejorative names on the streets, on their everyday life. My girl. I'm using the Nazca culture kind of work, which is very painterly, and I'm using like 3 ceramics, and I'm composing them. They don't actually have a mermaid. But you know, she's offering a kiss, but in her back she's gonna have a weapon. So when you approach her, she's a little vendetta. But you know, each of the Plunder Me Baby, they have different attitudes and towards being plundered and and taken away from their context and everything. So some of them are afraid, some of them are upset, some of them are vindictive like her. In 2004, I decided to paint again. You know, people would say that in the ceramic they could see a painter, and they didn't know my background. So I decided to give it a shot, and I began doing this series, the Cadavers series, and I titled it Cadavers because I always told my friends that painting was dead, and they were painters. I kind of found finally a reconnection with it. My mother is very afraid of old age, and my sister and I are conscious about it and want to fight against having the same bitterness against it. So in a way, I think the paintings to me are a way to see myself aging. That's just one personal level of reading them, but none of them are specifically about it. But to me also, you never know yourself, and it is like a metaphor, because no matter how much you think you know yourself, you always surprise yourself. I have some paintings that have references of the Cuscanian style, the Cuscanian school. Its strongest moment was the Baroque, and in the portraits were usually archangels and virgins, and the archangels have been in particular a very frightening figure for me. But it was also extremely beautiful, you know. And Catholicism has been a weapon of destruction, a weapon of colonization, and it was very efficient. So the iconography is so beautiful, and at the same time so far away from the population. I came to Philadelphia 10 years ago. What happened is I was living in New York. I have 20 years in the United States. I mean, at the beginning when I came to Philadelphia, I sincerely have to say I was completely disappointed, because I felt like my career was being left in New York. Honestly speaking, when I came here, I was sad. But now I'm glad I did, because Philadelphia is becoming this strong force in terms of the arts, and also the artists who are from Philadelphia have been working very hard to make this a place that is suitable for the arts. One day we were driving by and we were talking about how wonderful it would be to live in this park. It gives us the opportunity to have studios. My husband is a ceramic sculptor artist too. And we have our ceramic studio here in the Carriage House, and I have my painting studio in the house. We love the people. We like the strength of several organizations here that are fighting for making it safe for the community. And I like that closeness that has developed. We are friends. We never knew who was living next door in Peru. Never, even now. So for me, it's great to have this kind of environment that we can afford, because as artists, it's difficult. You know, to be an artist is great, but it implies a lot of sacrifices and priorities that you have to be clear with, and money is unfortunately not one of the things that come easy. So this allowed us to live our dream, you know, of continuing being artists.